Hey, it's Justine Thomas. I've got in the studio today Corey Ward and Joe Danier, and I'll tell you what, it's been a while. It has been such a while.
You were missed big time.
I don't know about that, but it's good to be missed. And I'll tell you what, Corey, when I asked Corey, hey, Corey, you want to jump on and you want to talk a little bit about some of the promotions you've got coming up this summer and things that are going on, he's like, really? Really? So yes, we have to get you on. And we're bringing the bourbon out already. This could be bad. So Corey, just a little bit ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't share these stories because these are such good stories. I did not know. Now I knew you and J-Dub have been friends forever and ever and ever. And you probably were around when he started his radio career with Hot 101.
Yes.
And I didn't realize you brought Boys to Men to the area.
Yeah, J-Dub was actually the best man at my wedding.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
okay.
Back in 2007 at the Wedge, we had Boys to Men play.
Okay.
And if you ever remember the Wedge, on the top right-hand side, there's this huge loft where you could just privately watch the show or whatever. It's just a really great place.
Great venue.
Place, you know. So going into the night, a funny story prior to that was it was a fly-in date, so they were by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, looking around who I can put on as far as an opening act. Well, I ended up with PM Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get approval from
the bands
from the band, and actually, Boys and Men had no idea who PM Dawn was. I was dumbfounded. I thought
some of the biggest '80s bands.
Yeah, I thought, I'm like, this is great. It's a nice 1-2, you know. And I was so taken aback by that. They had no idea. I'm like, wow. So we get that done. They do the show, and then J-Dub is going to intro Boys to Men, and he froze. I still have it on video.
That's awesome. I got to get a copy.
Hands in his pockets. And actually, Wes Stiles, who was upstairs with us, Rock 104 PD, went down there, went on stage with him to help him through it.
That is awesome.
And that was what, 07, something around
wow.
those lines. Yeah, it was a good one.
So you've been doing promoting since 07.
Actually, since 99. Yeah, 99.
Oh, do tell. Do tell.
This was probably the summer of 99. I saw a ad for a wrestling show, and my favorite wrestler growing up was King Kong Bundy. I mean, end all be all, that was my guy. Well, he was wrestling in a gymnasium in Andover. That summer, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
Drove up to Andover, and there's this guy who I grew up idolizing, sitting in a corner with a table, signing autographs. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Got to be friends with him.
Mm-hmm.
Very good friends with him. And that's how I started. I promoted professional wrestling shows in 99.
So it started with wrestling.
Added on a couple of different things. Ended up doing some WWE shows at Beagley in the early 2000s. A funny story about that, you can ask Freddie, because Freddie was with me. I didn't use YSU ushers one time, and and I'm from Austintown, so I used the Austintown Fitch Wrestlers one year. So I called the coach, and said, in exchange for you helping ushering, they can meet Ric Flair. So, and Rick was great because he had the stats from the Vindicator. It was wrestling season. He met all the guys backstage. Everything was great. So at the end of the night, and all the big guys were there, Brock Lesnar, Big Show, all of them. So at the end of the night, Ric Flair was wrestling, and Freddie will remember this because Freddie was bringing his kid backstage right when the show ended, and Ric Flair in the audience had his cook there. A YSU security officer stopped the cook from coming back after Rick said, yeah, I let him on back. And these two got into an argument that was so unbelievably bad.
Oh my God.
I'm looking at Freddie, my eyes are like, I'm like, I don't know what to say. And Freddie's like, and Ric Flair and this YSU security cop are nose to nose getting ready to fight. And I'm like, oh my God, what do you do in this situation?
Throwdown.
Literally and Rick is just animated. He's upset now, and the guy's like, I don't care who you are. And I asked Freddie, next time you see him, he will, I'm sure, tell you about that one. And it was like, wow. But then it ruined the rest of the night. Then
Aw.
everyone else is just, the mood in the locker room was bad and everything was just like, that's it.
So how do you try to maintain ground after that? What do you do?
You don't, there's
You
nothing.
don't. There's nothing you can do. You can't
Nothing.
salvage it.
No.
It's just like,
And
this is a
and it's a
crapshoot.
long day anyways, because it's back in, this is the early 2000s when there's no YSU at that time, and I haven't been to Beagley in a while, but you had to run up to Ticketmaster and they printed up all the tickets. You had them in a
Mhm.
big box. I had to be down at Beagley by 2
Oh yeah.
to bring the tickets to the ushers, and then you had to go out and there's numbers. You had to chalk the sections A, B, C, D,
Oh,
all
my
the way
God.
down. There's 14. I remember like it was yesterday. We did like I said, a couple of shows, and then when Cavelli was built, then they didn't need an outside promoter. They handled everything pretty much, in the house. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but those were great times. Like I said, I was a huge wrestling fan growing up. So for me, it was kind of like, wow, this is great.
So
It
that's
was
what
good.
started into
Yes.
the infamous man that you are today.
Infamous. I like, you always use that word. I like that. I'm like, Joe, I don't know if that's good or bad. It's,
It was good.
yeah, I'm
It is
hoping,
good. It is good.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what started. It was the wrestling, and then it morphed into just you name it, we've promoted it type thing.
You have done
know.
so many concerts over the
Yes.
years.
Yes, and the funny thing is one thing like will always come up. It's like you hear about the Nyabingi or you
Mhm.
hear about Cedars. You never hear about the Wedge.
Never.
It never comes up. I
Mhm.
mean, and not that pounding my chest. It's not that at all. But like you've been in a conversation, like remember at Nyabingi when,
Mhm.
and I'm like, man, well, how about remember at the Wedge when Snoop Dogg played in Austin Town?
You don't. Nobody talks about it.
It's crazy. No one does.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's just like wow, that was an era that will never happen again. I mean, I don't even think the buildings. I think it's getting gutted
that's
as we
just a
speak. But
Damn shame.
right? But I mean, so many memorable moments. Like I met J-Dub through the Wedge.
Mhm.
He was the PD on Hot 101, and we had Papa Roach one night.
Mhm.
And J-Dub had asked Wes Styles if he could meet the lead singer, and I'm like, I blew it off. So if you know J-Dub in J-Dub fashion, his arrogance when he was backstage after the show, looking at me like, how
you doing?
Just like that,
How you
and I'm
doing?
like, all right, it was funny because he found his way back. It was funny. It was a good story.
That's J-Dub, though.
That's J-Dub.
That's J-Dub.
Yes.
He can find his way into anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's,
Good dude, though. Miss him.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Miss him. He's doing well.
Yes, very well. So if he's listening, hi J-Dub.
He might be. I don't know.
Yep.
Steve James is, hey, Steve, how are you? So in booking some of these bands, people don't realize what lengths you have to go to book these bands, bring these bands in, make them happy.
Yes.
And then to make sure that they're not burning themselves out. Like how many times, have bands come to the area and it's like, oh yeah, I've seen them 12 times. So
Sure.
you kind of want to bring somebody new, somebody that's going to bring a crowd for you. And then your diehard bands that you can pull on
Sure.
anytime.
Take the Rib Burnoff, for instance, in Boardman. A very good example. There's a formula to that where it's free until 3 and you're only charging $7 after 3 o'clock. So you have to have a band that number one will draw, but also is cost effective. So it's a double-edged sword. So when you get into the Hinders and the Candle Boxes, and even to a certain extent the Scott Stapps of the world, they work out, but there's not as many around that. That's why we kind of, and even with the pandemic going into 2020, we had Hinder and Candlebox. Well, 2020 didn't happen, so we rolled those dates over to 2021. Well, 2021 didn't happen. Hinder stayed on, Candlebox dropped off. So at probably it was, I think, maybe even not even a month before we were to announce. Well, the season's already begun. Everything's already so. Not that Living Color was a bad band by any means, but it was the best of a bad situation to where Living Color was available and we gave it a shot. I mean, it was fine. It were not that it didn't, but we normally have everything done that fall
for the following summer. Yeah.
Much, yeah.
I mean, you're booking out 6-8 months prior.
At least, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. They think you're just putting these all together.
Well, so for me, it's what direction do I want to go? How much do I want to pull my hair out type thing? Like how big do you want to go? How what's the weather pattern been like? What's, type thing. And, there's a lot of things that play into that. I think we have a very, very good lineup this year for the rib burn off. The Clark's on Thursday, June 22nd. Fuel. Fuel hasn't been around from the
For a
last time
while.
we've done them, and I think it was '08. Fuel headlining Friday night, and then the Gin Blossoms are on Saturday.
Oh, that'll be a
So
great
really
show.
exciting.
Oh my
yeah.
God, the whole weekend.
Yeah, so it's very good. Very happy about that.
So how do you
Yeah.
know who you're going to bring to the area? Do you start looking to say, okay, like you said, they haven't been here in a while, or do you just go through an agency that says, okay, here's who I have, here's the shows that are
I
close
kind
by?
of have an idea of who I want to go after. Usually right after the rib burn off, because people are,
talking.
yeah, where you see concert shirts, so you know where you're pulling from, so Hinder did very well. I think Fuel is an extension of Hinder in that general audience as far as that goes. That's, Fuel is available, so we grab them. And Candlebox, Scott Stapp, Creed, those guys have always done very well. So why not the Gin?
Why not try it? Yeah.
So
it's been a minute since they've been around here.
It has.
Wow.
A long time. Yeah, it's good. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So when bands are coming around, of course they have a rider, and of course their riders, they want this, they want these, the best juices and the best foods and the best. When you're getting these riders and what are some of the most obscure things you have ever seen on some of these contracts coming back?
You know what? I after my first concert was in 2003 at the Cellar. I did Seven Mary 3.
Okay.
I was very young in the concert business, so I got everything on. I actually went shopping myself. I mean, literally, I got everything on the rider, and then the night of, they didn't want half of it. So I'm like, wow, okay. So to be honest with you, I get the rider, I forward it to Frankie. Or Bubba or whoever, and I don't even see it. But then again, to say I get the end result after the show, like I hear all the stories after the show. I never hear it, when something, goes on or something isn't right, or it wasn't there was a brown M&M in the bag that shouldn't have been in there, type thing. But I always hear the good stories afterwards. A good story I could tell you is we were all on this Bret Michaels kick in the mid 2000s, 2014, 2015. We had done Vince Neil and Bret Michaels back to back in Salem. And I remember the owner of the drag strip, we had the facility where we had the concert at, he supplied us with the generators. Now I
remember these.
I mean, the place for Bret Michaels was packed, and I'm way at the end where no one's at. I'm just sitting there want to watch the show for a few minutes before whatever, and the owner of the drag strip came up to me, put his arm around me, and he goes, just want to let you know, the red light, the alert light on the generator's on, probably water in the gas, but just letting you know, make sure everything's, and then Bret goes on.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
oh no,
you're in the middle of nowhere. There are no resources. I mean, you have to bring in water, you're bringing in power, you're bringing in,
everything.
Yeah. And it's like, and I had just gotten done with a Huck and Philbilly fiasco where they, and so I'm just getting my arms around that, where, Jimmy and from the Huck and Philbilly,
Jimmy
and Bret Michaels' team get into it. And they actually pulled the plug on Jimmy early. Which I'm sure you heard the story.
I do remember that.
So then that was a whole thing. So you're making sure everybody's okay. And then the track owner, like nothing, that emergency light's on. But I think it's just water in the, gas. And I'm like, why would you tell me
that? What next?
Why would you say that? But that's, so that's,
And everything went off without a hitch.
Actually, it did. Yeah.
That's good.
It was good.
That's good. Yeah. Now you and Bret Michaels are like the best of buds, though, aren't you?
Yeah, great guy. He just great guy. I mean, doing the big sheds now and everything like that. But I've had the opportunity to work with him twice, and both times came away with a great. He did everything we had asked him to do, met sponsors, and everything. It was a really nice time. Yeah.
Now, who's hard to work with?
You'll never see. Stone Sour was rough, which is Corey Taylor. Corey and I don't really
Don't
see eye
hit
to
it.
eye.
Yeah.
No.
Don't hit
No.
it off for a while. Huh?
And the only reason being is I think when you go into a concert setting, you have my guys,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the tour manager and their guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have an ego. I could care less. I try and, you know what I mean? But when those two come together, it's who has the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know why it's like that. But, you know, who has, you know, pounds their chest the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
And
And your boys too.
well, yeah,
They're
but,
good guys.
my
I
guy,
love
you know,
them.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, like I said, I work with the best people in the
You
business.
do.
I
You
can't
are
tell
lucky.
I
You're fortunate.
if I didn't have a Frankie, if I didn't
Yeah,
have a
Bubba.
Bubba, you know, if I didn't have, you know, the support of, you know, their employees and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't nearly, you know, be as successful as we are. But in the same aspect, you know, the fans in this area have some great promoters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go outside to Akron, Canton. I mean, you go anywhere. I mean, you know, hats off to everybody that does shows in this market because, you know, a lot of times it doesn't go the way we want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you lose money. But I mean, you have promoters in this market that are willing to, you know, take a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's not that way in a lot of markets. I'll tell you, get a lot of shows, you know, that a lot of other markets would love to have, but don't get, you know, type
Mm-hmm.
thing. So,
Now you do a lot of concerts, but you also do a lot of swap meets too.
yes.
People probably don't realize you're behind all that as well.
We took over the Dave and Ed's swap meets at Canfield and Canton. I love it. It's just
I know you do.
It's a totally 360 from what we do, what our you know our core is. But it's a lot of fun. We do about 25,000 people over 3 days and about 4,000 vendors at the Canfield Fairgrounds.
Wow.
We actually just sold the fairgrounds out, and all we have left is the track. That's it. And
Coming this summer.
Coming at the end of April.
You're kidding
and
me.
We've already sold over 200 spots on the track. Yes.
So there's no more. So all that they really can do is
the track.
Track
once you get there, and then the track. The nice thing with that is it's so much fun. But I mean, if you're looking for car parts, if you're looking for tools, if you're looking for shop equipment, collectibles, tires, anything and everything automotive related, it's there.
If people want to get a hold of you for sponsorships or for advertising, because 4,000 people.
Well, you've been there, you've seen it.
I know, I've been there.
Like, what
We've been driving around the golf cart.
The golf carts. Yeah. Autoevents.com is our website for that, or it has all the information there, email, phone number to the office and whatnot. We do 3 of those, and actually 4 now in Canfield. We do 1 in Canton, so we have 6 actually total swap meets throughout the years. And
you're doing Pittsburgh too, right?
Yes. Yep.
Sheesh.
Right.
You're busy.
Busy guy.
So then from that, as I'm driving around on a golf cart, I see a toy vendor, diecast, and then I see a G.I. Joe guy, and it got me thinking. I'm like, wait a minute, I think we can do a toy show.
Oh no.
So I started those last year. So we do 2 toy shows a year, which are, new and vintage toys from the 80s, 70s, 90s. So say, for instance, you love Cabbage Patch Kids and you had one when you were growing up. Well, you can go to this toy show and buy a Cabbage Patch Kid or a WWF LJN, wrestling figure, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And actually, we just sold the building out for our April 15th show. That big, event center.
Oh my gosh.
That building is a godsend. It's great. Then we have Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, signing autographs. He'll be there. And then actually he's giving away his belt. So it's good.
Jeez, Corey.
Right? Yeah, it's good.
What else you got going on?
Then aside from the end of June is tricky because the 22nd through the 24th, we have the Rib Burnoff in Boardman. Then after that, I have the Youngstown Comic-Con. We took that over. That's July 8th and 9th in Canfield at the fairgrounds. Then the week after that, we have a swap meet, July 15th, 16th, and 17th. So it's kind of a rough patch there where it's going to be all...
You're not going to be sleeping much?
All hands on deck, big things. So.
What a lazy slacker.
You know, it's like,
Jeez,
you
I wish
know,
you'd do
and
something.
then Justine calls, she's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, nothing. You know,
Nothing.
What are you doing
on
Thursday
down,
at
come on
5:30? Come on
down, you know?
down. Let's talk.
But I wouldn't have it any other way, you know.
No.
But
yeah.
and then I get to work again with, you know, Frankie,
Bubba.
So it's a different event, but the same, you know, type thing. So it's nice.
We have request lines that they can call in.
I didn't start the phones yet. You
Oh,
want me to get on that?
No.
Hey,
Wait.
how about this? If you want to call, put it in the chat, and then I'll turn the phone lines on.
There you
How
go.
about that?
Yeah. We could hear from
Well, you
Bubba.
guys
We
are
can hear
just-
some Frankie.
You
Yeah.
guys are just, I
We're
love
just
it.
reeling
Great,
it in
man.
because
I'm out of my wheelhouse. I don't really do this stuff. You go, let's turn on the phone line.
and you're
Let's get
doing
going.
so
If
amazingly
anybody knows
well.
me, I'm the most quiet behind, you know, person
You're behind
you
the
ever meet.
scenes.
And I
You
like
make
it that
things
way.
happen.
Quiet. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So coming up, let's say April. From April on, you've mentioned some of the things you've got going on, but then you don't slow down. You keep going. So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
July, August, you're booking again for the following year.
Yeah. In addition to September, we have a swap meet. And then November, we're in Canton. And then back down here in Canfield with a toy show. And then in December, actually, we booked another swap meet. We ran a swap meet February 25th in the event center. And it was great. I mean, it was phenomenal. So we booked another one in December.
Jeez.
So the swap meet employees give me till like December 7th, and that's kind of it. Because then you're
Mhm.
booking
For the next year.
Yeah, so the phone's already ringing for renewals for the following shows. And then I have a direction where we're going for the rib burn off for 2024.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, you know, it's already kind of
You're already thinking.
Yeah, it's already, you know, who's played this year, who is going to be playing this year. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like you don't want to, you know, they're already coming this year, then, you know, type thing. But yeah, I have a direction next year where we're going to go. You have to. I mean, it's, you know,
yeah, you do.
yeah, it's good.
So are you still looking for security and you guys are all, I mean, you're expanding and with 4,000 people, Bubba's going to need help. And
Yeah, he actually Bubba's new name is he is now the authority. He's
the authority.
corporate Bubba now.
Corporate
That's, you know, he got a
Bubba.
new job.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
about it.
That's right. So
I
he's now
heard.
the authority. You
Uh-huh.
know? That's his
He's
his
the
thing.
man.
Yeah, he is. And I couldn't be happier for him. I mean, he's just a great guy, and his guys, like I said, couldn't do without him. We're talking parkers,
Mhm.
ticket takers, parts runners,
Mhm.
even on the concert end of it, you know,
Yeah.
just
It's constantly running.
constantly something, you know. I mean, for what it takes to, you know, like I said, if I didn't have a good crew, you know, with me, like, you know, my aunt is a ticket taker sometimes, you know, and you know, my cousin Nick, you know, couldn't do without any of those guys.
Yeah.
We're just very lucky to have a good crew that we work with, type thing. So, you know, they know what they're doing and
Mhm.
don't need babysat. And even the fairgrounds, I love working with them. I mean, they're just
Bev's awesome.
Bev is the best.
She's amazing.
She really is. I
Mhm.
tell you, just makes it easy for me.
It does.
You know, just a peach to work with. I
Mhm.
generally love working with them all, and the facilities are amazing. That building they
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
has been a long time coming. I mean, for someone like me, I'm like, wow, this is great. You know, I mean,
Mhm. Your
It's
eyes are
huge.
lighting up.
yeah,
I had no idea how big that
Yeah.
sucker was.
yeah,
It's a very big
it's
building.
good. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, the area needed something like that.
Mhm.
So for me, you know, I can want to book as many shows as I can there. A lot of different, you know, type, you know, trade shows type thing. You know, the toy shows are great. They're very well received. We're going to try our hand at the Comic-Con. Then if that works out well, we'll do 2 in 2024. So we'll
Oh,
have
wow.
that on, you know, type thing. But yeah, it's great. You know, love it.
You've got the wheel rolling now. It's the Corey Ward wheel, is what I like to call it. This is your wheelhouse. You know this. How long did it take you to perfect what you're doing? Are you constantly still growing and thinking, okay, I'm not going to do this. This didn't work. Or do you know you got a groove going?
You know, it took a while. It really did. It very hard to break into the business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, totally different in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I would go to, you know, the rib burn off, and my eyes were just like, wow, this is great. You know, funny story, actually, I remember, and Dominic Baragona is just the king of promotions. I mean, just, you know, I learned so much from him, and not only how to plan and execute an event, but sponsorship, you know, how to promote. He was just, you know, the best.
Mhm.
You know, just a great guy, in and out. So I remember at the rib burn off in Niles, I had called him, and again, this is probably 2000, 2001. I said, I have some wrestlers in town. Can I bring them down? And he goes, sounds good. I had King Kong Bundy, Mabel, and Jake the Snake Roberts. Well, and this is when I really learned, you know, like, so what happened was Jake ended up getting drunk one night and got in a car wreck,
Oh no.
left the scene, was coming to the rib burn off with cops
Oh.
behind him. And my mouth dropped, and Dominic's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, wow, oh boy, you know.
Here we
And
do.
this ended up being the top news story all week. It must have been a slow news weekend because it didn't stop. So that ends and everything like that. He gets arrested, whatever.
Oh geez.
So the next morning, I'm like, I ain't coming. This is it for me. He's gonna freak, you know. And he called me. He goes, hey, I'm like, hey, Dom. I go, I just really wanted to apologize. He goes, well, this is great. We're on top story of the whole. You can't buy this. He goes, he's innocent, Corey, until proven guilty. And right there, I was like, you know what? He's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 100% right. And so I called the guys. I'm like, oh, we're gonna, you know. And Jake was still having trouble. I don't know, you know. So I just, but the rest of the guys came down, and then Jake ended up coming Sunday, I believe it was, for an hour or two, and then he was gone. Gone. But I learned it. But I mean, it was true.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, you know, he was top story. And if I'm not mistaken, because I remember Michael Stanley played, and it was a huge crowd. The whole weekend was just, you know, and I'm like, wow. And I was like, well, you know, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
And he spun it to where, you know, and that's what a, you know, good promoter does, I think, I guess, you know.
Yeah, you have to spin something bad into something good. You know that.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you know.
I'll tell you what, and even talking about some of these people that have passed, it's like you're going to miss them, especially coming up in the summers.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it just doesn't seem like, you know, a summer without hearing Michael Stanley somewhere. So,
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's going to be, but that's what we have you for, to fill that void.
Yeah. I only promoted Michael Stanley one time,
Yeah.
but I remember his handshake,
Yeah.
like a gorilla.
Yes.
When he grabs you, and I'm like, whoa, you know. We did a rib burn off in Salem one time, actually. I think it was probably 2008. We did Candlebox and Michael Stanley.
Mhm.
And I mean, but it was what it was. I mean, you know, there was one of the times you're like, oof, what was I thinking? Not
Mhm.
because of the bands, but, you know, for rib burn off, you have to be in traffic areas on, you know, 224, Columbiana, where all that stuff is. You know, just somewhere along, you know, where there's traffic, where there's people.
A footprint, yeah.
So that was kind of like, okay, let's put this on hold. You know, we'll come back, revisit it. And, you know, we brought it back in 2018. So.
And you're so glad that you did.
I am, actually. It's
and it has grown.
It has grown. It's good. Like, you know, we started it, you know, from scratch in 2018. And I got a lot of help, I'll be honest with you, from Sean from Barry Dingles. I went to high school with Sean. Sean's a great guy. Helped me in the beginning, you know, get the rib vendors. Here's what you do. Here's what, you know, because he was on the circuit forever with armadillos.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
you know, so a lot of, you know, hats off to him for helping, you know, get it off the ground. I mean, it took a massive effort from a lot of people. You know, now it's, we're turning rib vendors away. You know, we have.
That's a good problem.
It is. You know, we have Carolina Rib King out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Solomon's just a great guy, and he's a heavy hitter. When he comes in, you know Solomon's in town. Then the Texas Outlaws, which are actually out of Kentucky. I don't know why they're Texas Outlaws, but they're out of Kentucky.
Out of Kentucky.
Desperados, which is out of Hinckley, Ohio, which is a local, and then PD, who has Off the Bone, is from Alabama. So those are the four we have come in this year. I think 4 is good. 4 is good. I mean, why would you need more than, you know? We've had up to 8. And all it is 8 headaches, you know, with, you know, type thing. But the facility at the Southern Park Mall is just great. You know, hats off to the mall for building a facility. You know, the power's there, so I don't have to mess with generators and, you know, because those, it's just, that's, you know.
It's just water in the gas tank. That's all.
Just,
you know what I mean?
Big,
like, who says that? I mean, literally, you know, and I'm carrying that with me since 2014. Like, who does that? You know what I mean?
He did.
And then you hear Jimmy La, and then you hear nothing. I'm like, now what is going on?
Oh,
And they,
Did you have a contingency that if it did go out, what you were going to do?
He probably did know.
No,
He had
that
no
was
idea.
that was the problem. I'm like, wow, like that's gonna be a problem.
That
You
could
know,
be a big
and then I
problem.
thought about it for a minute, but then he went right in, and it's like it's gonna be what it'll be,
Mhm.
type thing. But yeah, who says that? Right? I mean, it's just one of many that, boy, that
You
was
had to be a
but,
deer in headlights when you got that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was a racetrack, so there was some gearhead there that could have figured that out, I'm sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, we're talking Quaker City, and
Yeah.
this stage is in a field.
Literally,
Literally
it
in a
is. It's
field.
literally in a field.
Like nothing's around it. There's no water you can tap into. We had to bring in the water, generators and whatnot.
I'm sweating just going through
Yeah,
this.
Porta
Yeah,
Johns.
like I honestly, I think if we had to use generators for the rib burn off, I don't know if I'd still do the rib burn off.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like generators.
They're scary.
I remember
and loud.
2019, Hinder's getting ready to take the stage, and we know the rain's coming. So it had rained earlier, and we're tracking the rain. So I'm like, okay, So Hinder goes on, and out of the peripheral left, the whole side goes out. Every rib bender on the left-hand side, and I'm like,
oh no.
And it was just a hiccup on the generator. Frankie ran over, turned the key, started right up again, and I'm like,
Frankie saved the day.
you know what I mean? But and it's like, oh, that and I know Frankie or whoever's listening, they're like, oh, I remember that, just you see this whole side, French fries, corn dogs, rib vendors, right as soon as and I'm like, what, it's like Chevy Chase sitting there, with Christmas Vacation, sees it out of the corner of his eye, a little flash with the cat, and I'm like, what now? Like, what could it be? But that's the risk you run as far as going into a parking lot. They call it, like you're building a city.
Oh, yeah, and you do, yeah.
It's true, But we like to have fun doing it. So
Mhm.
it's good times. It's fun. I mean, it's got a lot easier.
I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
Like I said, you've probably got a way that you're doing things, and this worked, that didn't work, and we're going to do this, and we're going to try that. And
yeah, most of the times, I mean, there's a method to the madness, but sometimes it's just inevitable that there's just always
something happening, and you've just got to be ready.
Yeah, you just have to, it's what it is. And if you're an engineer, this isn't going to work for you. Like I said, I love my cousin like a brother. He's an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a lot for me, especially at the swap meets. He runs the office for me. And if something goes haywire, it's over. And I have to take
just
that to the
away.
next level. And you know what I mean? And just rile him up a little bit and get it going. But
the day before an event, he has 3,000 hypotheticals going through his head.
What
he would do.
He does.
100%.
He methodically thinks
every curveball.
Every curve.
But the funny thing is I saw Joe at the rib burn off last year. Cool call, Joe, my man, come this way. All right. Enjoy the show.
Wasn't sweating, look all calm as could be.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
But Corey's like that. Under pressure, I think you do the best, don't you?
I try. I don't let it get to me. I mean, you can't.
You can't.
It's going to be what
He's got the perfect temperament for a promoter. He really
does. He truly does.
Like you're not going to get me going. Like Frankie will say otherwise. Because I snapped on him about some water thing last year. I'm like, Frankie, where is the water? Like, here's the line and it's not moving. So I know. And I felt so bad. Like the week after, I'm like, Frank, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know it. But he was just like, sorry, buddy. And Frankie's just a great dude, like my brother. I mean, he's just, and I'm like, man, I felt bad. Sorry about the water line. I didn't realize it was right there. All you had to do was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this big, huge snake of
long cord, type
just,
thing.
Like my bad.
He's good under pressure too.
Yeah,
he's very good. I got to work with him at the Canfield Fair. He did a lot for me out there. I love you, Frankie, and he knows that. But he's just makes it happen.
I'm gonna give you a funny story. So we had Scott Stapp from Creed come in 2019 to the rib burn off, and he hated the tour manager for Scott Stapp. And I didn't hear it till afterwards. Like those two just boom, boom. I mean, it was bad. It was a bad backstage scene. I stayed away. I went up front, So
I stayed away.
No, I did. Well, that's my thing. Like I don't it's business.
It
you know
is.
what I mean?
Mhm.
As long as there's a butt every 18 inches, I've done my job, and I've done my job for everybody. I've done my job for the vendors. I've done my job for anybody else that's making money that weekend.
Right.
But I don't speak that lingo. You know, when you come in a cheap trick shirt, you got a tour pass hanging off your side from 1988. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
just not my thing. But so Frank and his tour manager just went at it, and I'm like, whoa. Yeah, this is all right, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, stand your ground, you know. And I walked up there and stuff like that, and he goes, "Please, next year, don't, please, no Scott Stapp, please," because I have a habit of if it works, you know what I mean.
If it's not broke, don't
Like
fix
Brett
it.
Michaels, you're like, hey, I did the deal with Brett Michaels that night, like
Brought
that
him
night
back.
for the following year. Yeah, it was, you know, shook hands, all right, and so we have Fuel coming this year.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you believe it? The tour manager for Fuel is the same as Scott Stapp.
No.
I took a picture of the guy's Facebook page and I text Frankie right before I came down here. I can't tell you what he replied, but you know, he was not happy.
Oh my God.
What are the odds of that?
There
and
is-
it says, it's great. He put 2 words, you know, and I was like, man,
I
this
can
is,
imagine
you
what
know,
those words were.
But I mean, like, what are the odds? You know,
Uh-huh.
that was good. I got a good laugh out of that. You know?
So was Scott good to work with though?
I think he was great.
Yeah.
Great.
So the stories about him aren't true.
You know, a little different. I think the Huck and Philbillies opened. I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure.
I could see that. Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that they did, but there was no booze in the backstage area. They wanted none of it. You know, because he's a recovering alcoholic. So with all those variables in the sky, Frankie, tour manager, no booze, Huck and Philbillies, you know, I'm like, you know what, I'm just probably gonna stay up front type thing. And, or just, you know, and
It's
even
best.
though my office trailer was back there, it's like, man, geez, I really don't want to, you know, be back there, like for
Right.
what, you know.
Right.
And I thought he was great. Short, very short guy. Life was great. The whole family. No, I mean, like, no, I mean, you're
No
thinking
thanks.
like a rocker. you know what I'm
Right,
saying? I mean, this is
right.
the guy that, you know, all those songs, I mean, he's, you know, short, very short. Yeah. But wife was a peach. They all ate ribs. I remember that. Snapped a quick photo with him, and that was it.
And that was it.
That was it. He was gone.
Now, who's your favorite to bring into town? I know I'm putting you on a spot.
Like the one I had the most fun with, or
Yeah. Best stories.
for
most fun.
different, like I remember Candlebox got thrown out of their hotel when we had them at the Wedge, so they ended up staying at my house.
What?
Yeah, well,
Tell the story.
It was 4th of July weekend.
Okay.
They were at a hotel in Austin town, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, they wanted to grill out. So they
Okay.
grilled out on their little
Hibachi type thing.
right
geez.
outside. Well, that was it. That was it. And
Oh.
yeah, that was it. So there was no you couldn't get him anywhere. So I'm like, all right, stay at my house, I guess, you know. And that was that. I mean, literally, like, you know, man, you know, that was But
I
there
can't
was
believe
nowhere else.
they stayed at your house.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to. I mean, it was 4th of July weekend. Everything was gone, and that was the Wedge, and it was a great show. And I remember West Styles, Rock 104. Corey Candlebox isn't Rock 104. I'm like, I bet it is, and it was. Yep. So every time I see him,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which isn't very often much, but it's like, remember that Candlebox show? He goes, I know. I know. Each of them, I really don't like mess with them a lot too much. That's like where Frankie and a Bubba and everybody.
There's a separation.
Yeah. I mean, if it's somebody that I really enjoy, you know, like Snoop Dogg, for instance. Snoop
is he your bud?
Yeah, he's
be
not
snooping?
what you. He's not what
Well
you.
done.
I mean,
Thanks.
he's Snoop's business.
Yes.
He's straight.
He's all about the business.
And you know how I got that show?
No,
The
but I bet you're gonna tell.
the Steelers, when they had won the Super Bowl, they had had a party at Point State Park.
Okay.
Snoop's a big Steelers fan, so he was down there, and I ended up bumping into him. A company that I knew was running sound for all the shows down there that weekend, and Snoop was there. I bumped into him, and I said, "Hey, and have a club in Youngstown. Love to have you play. And he goes, hit my agent up. Well, I knew his agent because I dealt a couple times with, the rock acts that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And quick, did a deal.
Get out.
It was, the most upside down deal I've ever done.
Oh,
just because
that.
what he was paid.
Uh-huh.
And, I knew it would sell out, but it's like, how could you? It's Snoop. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, it was good. He knew the crowd. He played his old stuff.
Nice.
He actually cooked in the kitchen some wings.
Wow.
Asked me if I wanted some. I declined, but
Wow.
Eat anything out of that kitchen. But you know what I mean? Well, the thing's been there for, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was but a great guy. But I mean, straight up 100% total business. I mean, and he's not what you see on TV. It's really not. I mean, it's business.
It's business.
Yeah. It's,
Now, when you're booking your bands and you're booking rock or there's hip hop, which do you feel pulls a better crowd in?
Definitely rock.
Rock?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. There's more, you have take for instance the Wolf 93.3 who, we're partnered with.
Mm-hmm.
They play Fuel.
Yes.
That's where we have mix for, the Gin Blossoms.
Mm-hmm.
But most of those songs that you hear on the Wolf, we've had them in town
Mm-hmm.
or they're coming to town,
Mm-hmm.
Type thing. So, but with, like a Kiss station or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting into a little bit more pricier, like you could never get Snoop Dogg into a wedge type building anymore.
Right.
I mean, those days are,
those are gone.
We had Breaking Benjamin play the wedge. We had actually, we were just talking about this the other day. We had Shinedown, the original members of Saliva and Hailstorm play the wedge in 2009.
Wow. You could never do that again.
Never. You could never. And that's, Stone Sour, even I'm not the biggest fan of Corey Taylor. You could never get them into the, it was just a magical, 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
We were the first ones to do Buck Cherry when that song Crazy Bitch was number one in the summer of 2006.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to get him into the wedge. Yeah. And that was
Can't do that again.
No. And that was my first show at the wedge.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be a one-time only, like, hey, and funny thing with that was I remember a couple guys who were sitting outside the wedge and someone had said, hey, I sent Buck Cherry a message through their through their website.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I had no intentions of doing anything other than just hanging out and kind of more so a dare than anything else, and the funny thing is for anybody that remembers in 2006 when Buck Cherry played the wedge, it was between us and Salty Grogs. Buck Cherry actually considered playing Salty Grogs.
Wow.
Yeah. Swear to God, true story.
Salty Grogs was so little inside.
I don't know how they would have, but there was a
parking lot outside.
Yeah, there was a middleman promoter involved.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, and I had done, like I said, 7 Mary 3 prior in the Verve Pipe. I did the Verve Pipe at the Plaza Cafe. And I had a friend in Michigan that was a promoter for concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd lean on him a little bit, type thing. And, but that's how we got it, the Buck Cherry show. But I had to pay everything in advance. I actually had the whole show, everything in advance before I could even announce to sell a ticket. Yeah,
wow.
Everything. No joke. But then after that was it. And then we actually brought them back in November of that year with Crossfade. And then after that, then it was really like, then we did Breaking Benjamin, then Papa Roach. Then it was just boom, 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 type thing. It was great. I had a really good time with it. Fun.
Now, who all have you brought to the area? And then we're going to see if people are going to start listing who they want you to bring back. I was like, I remember that concert. That was great.
Boy, Joe, I got to hats off to you, my man. This is so sophisticated.
Look at that.
I know. Look at that. See who's all, This is
Vinny.
great.
So we
James.
went up to YSU the other day and we interviewed some of the college kids and we said, what kind of entertainment would you love to see brought to the area?
Mm-hmm.
And every one of them said rap, hip hop. So who would
really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you even put on that stage for that age group?
Actually, you know what? There is one band that I'm like, this would be a good rib burn off. So I don't know if I want to say it because you know what I mean. It's
just
an
whisper it.
active.
Yeah,
It's
just
an
whisper it.
active-
Yeah, we won't tell.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, like this thing's like voice texting. You know.
Right.
But there's I'm a huge nostalgic guy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, people love nostalgia.
They do.
You know, and I think you know the Snoop Dogs of the world, or you know, like an Ice Cube, things of that nature type thing. You know,
Are you giving us clues?
no, actually,
Okay.
I'm going the other way. Actually,
Okay.
trying to
Oh,
cover my
red
tracks.
herring
type thing.
here.
Uh-huh.
See,
Uh-huh.
you
Roll
know.
us off.
See,
That's
But,
how you know something's in the
I
works.
got you.
if my wife's listening, she goes, "I know, is he
Uh-huh.
listening?" You know, type thing. So, yeah, but I mean, it just. But again, there are a lot of factors, a lot of variables, a lot of you know what I mean type thing. But like with the Snoop show, it worked out because he was smart enough to book 3 shows.
Hmm.
Toledo had the first show that year, and we did Snoop 2010. I heard horror stories. He was watching the NBA game that night. He played Thursday or Friday, and we had a Saturday or a Friday. I know we had a Friday or Saturday, but I know that he was watching the NBA game. He didn't go on until late. So I'm like, ooh. But I knew he was in town.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I know he's in town, it's going to be what it'll be.
Yeah.
So we were up second, then Pittsburgh was third, and he flew back out to California. So scheduled for 8, he went on at 8:01.
Wow.
Wow.
All business.
And he stayed after. You know, anybody that wanted pictures in the back area, you know,
Oh,
where it's
nice.
contained,
Yeah.
you know, got
Yeah.
pictures. And he was just, and me and J-Dub actually have a picture of J-Dub.
Nice.
You know, we're like, you know, and
Uh-huh.
that was it. And then I was done and
You were done.
out of there.
You're like,
That was
I'm
it.
out.
I was, I did not have nothing to drink because that night, I have to tell you, was one of the most, for me anyways, because you have a lot, you know, the township's concerned,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
everybody's like, you know, it's tight, you know, type thing. And, you know, the atmosphere, I mean, it was a great party time atmosphere once it started, but
Right.
for me, it was, you know, I mean, you had to play by the rules that, you know, that
Uh-huh.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying there are instances where, you know, we've went capacity maybe a little bit over on a rock show, but this is totally different. You have all eyes watching, you know, so it's like, you know, you dot your T's, cross your I's type
And
thing.
pray.
So, yeah, it's, you know, but
No generators, no nothing.
no, that's, you know, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding you. Like I sweats about that.
I don't blame you on that one. Yeah.
Who says that though? I'll let you know. And I would have never
It's
known.
just
He still
still
has
not
anxiety
sitting
on
right
this
with him.
right now.
I would have never known. And you know,
It's not sitting right with you at all.
man, it's
But
still,
you pulled it off.
Yeah, it's because there was probably water in the fuel,
It's
which
probably in the fuel.
you know,
Yeah.
you didn't need to tell me that.
Hail
but, you
Mary.
know, I know
Mhm.
it was, you know, it was, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was good.
So in moving forward, and I'm thinking, Youngstown, we're kind of, I don't want to say we're behind, but we're behind. We don't like to,
We like what we like,
yes,
and that's that.
even if it's
Like I mean,
80s hair,
yeah, like if
stuff
it's,
like that.
like if it's Blue Oyster Cult playing the Niles Ray Burnoff, it's what it is. If it
It
works,
is.
we'll do it again.
And
That
people
type
will
thing.
support it,
People
and
will
they'll come
support
out
it, and
like
they
that's
will,
the
you know,
first time they heard it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you know, yeah, type thing. But like I said, you know, and looking back on it, you know, there are promoters in this market that take a chance, you know, and we're all friends, you know,
Mhm.
and it's nice. It's refreshing to where, you know, I don't have to look over my shoulders, and neither do
It's
any
not
of them.
cutthroat.
If I throw out a fishing line for a bid and I snag it, and someone else is also, and I'm like, you know what, no problem, or the other promoter will back off, or whatever the case may be. But you know, it's nice where you don't have that a lot, and it's nice.
That
you
is
know,
nice.
It's you know, it's not as cutthroat as it once was.
Mhm.
I just like to do my own thing.
Mhm.
You know, totally, you know, different. You know, it's not a part of something. It's my thing. You know, if I want to sit on the couch, I'll sit on the couch. If I want to do something, I'll go up and do it. You know,
Mhm.
type thing. But yeah, it's nice. You know,
Was there one band that you just couldn't get and you still can't get to this day and you want them here and you just couldn't make it work?
not really. No.
Corey gets what he
I'm
wants.
thinking, no, I'm thinking like at the Wedge days, like there were two bands that I was hot to get at that time, which was Seether and 3 Days Grace.
Uh-huh.
I ended up getting Seether, and then we did for the Rock 104 birthday bash, we did 3
I
Days
remember
Grace.
that. Yeah.
And so, I mean, as far as those go, I mean, you know, we were close on 30 Seconds to Mars a couple of times, very close. Yeah, very close at that time. There were a couple, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, a while ago that, you know, like on my computer, you see offer sheets with all these bands and whatnot. You know, a bunch of people, you know, we did Alter Bridge. A lot of people want Alter Bridge back, you know. That's, you know, a different type thing. But not really. There really wasn't too many alternative rock ones that, you know, we couldn't
pull off. Yeah.
Couldn't pull off, you know, type thing. So, yeah, to answer your question, they're really not on that front. No, sorry to disappoint, but no, on yeah.
Now I'm gonna pull a cat out of a bag.
Oh, here we go. She was waiting on
you know.
this one, right?
No, it's just career changes. So when you first started getting into the promotional end of it, you were still working in a restaurant. You were still doing.
I actually still am.
Are
to a
you
certain
still?
extent.
I thought you were done.
Nope.
No, you kept your foot in it.
Still, I mean, it's I like it. You know what I mean? Like it's you know, it's a good time. You know, I've always been there, and I mean, I'm not saying it won't ever come to an end, but you know, it's I think it keeps me young. You know, because you're dealing with a lot of different people, but in the same aspect, you're around. Like I don't know if I would be around as much if I, you know, in the restaurant or whatever type thing, but then you just meet so many different people.
Oh yeah.
What restaurant is this? I'm in the dark here.
Chili's.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know?
I had no idea.
Wow, I knew something
20-some
you
years,
didn't know.
Yeah, actually, that's why we would sell tickets out of there.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
how. So I knew, like with Snoop Dogg, it sold like that. It was gone. Like we had a line wrapped around. So for 45 minutes, they just pressed the ticket button. So I knew it was.
And I bet Chili's has no problem with you doing this.
Yeah, no, it's That's where a lot of the like Saturday night car shows and Monday night bike nights, a lot of different events, in the mall property. A great deal of that is because of my association with Chili's. I was able to meet the mall. I was able to, all those other things. So it worked out really well.
Good.
For everybody type thing.
Good.
Yep.
You just have your fingers in everything though, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You've got the pulse of Youngstown and
trying. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and the funny thing is we were talking the other day is there's no young up and comers. I mean, there isn't. Like I said, when, you had, Dominic, in his day and everything like that, you had myself and you also had, Eric Ryan coming up and Kenny Bigley and, you have Ken Idaris and whatnot. And you don't have that anymore. And I don't know, I don't know where I would start if I was just starting out.
You have no mentors.
Well, yeah, because it's such a closed circuit, like if a show's coming to Youngstown or wants to come to Youngstown, they'll call down, the Cavelli Center, they'll call Warren, call me, whatever, but it's like, I wouldn't even know how to start, it's been, you just, keep going and whatnot. But it's different. It's different. Plus, you don't have a Rock 104 type format station where you have these bands that are new and up and coming, like Breaking Benjamin 10 years ago, were playing clubs. Same with 3 Days Grace or Bush or all those other bands. I mean, they were playing 1,400 seat venues because we've done them all. Now they're playing the sheds, for 15, 20,000 people. There are no Dropping Daylights. There's no, Pop Evil type bands that, are up and coming that you would do a few Free Music Monday. And, I remember sitting in Clyde Bass's office where he has these massive Y103s, K105, Hot 101s, and he's messing with this little WWIZ out of Sharon, tweaking. And I'm like, my man, what are you doing? He goes, oh, we got this Free Music Monday coming up, And I remember, one of J-Dub's funniest stories about Clyde Bass, and he's a vice president of iHeart in Texas now. J-Dub, meet Hinder, get a chicken wing, And he says it exactly how J-Dub, you ever want to meet Hinder? Get a chicken wing over there. That's fine, But it was so funny because he put his heart and soul into that station, and it was great.
It was
Great.
It was.
And it was one of those things where it was so different. It wasn't the classic rock of what Youngstown was, but it was a different format. That I remember songs that turned on the station like, man, geez, like, wow, I remember that.
I remember that song.
I haven't heard that in a while.
And isn't it amazing how music, when you hear that song, it takes you back to that time, that memory. It could be a good memory, a bad memory, but music just brings you up, brings you down.
It does. Yeah.
And it's just amazing. So are you gonna buy a place and like Nashville? Nashville has a place where all the new artists start out and everybody wants to be somebody. And I think it's called Blue Note. I could see Corey's wheelhouse.
Sounds good. No, you know what?
No?
My thought process is the other way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To work to get out.
Oh,
type thing,
Retire early, right?
Well, not even so much retire early, but my philosophy is I work really hard, but I also play very hard.
Right.
When you come to a show, I give it all I possibly can as far as, looking good, the prices are good, and everything's good. But then the same aspect, my downtime is my downtime type thing. But
I'll tell you, if it wasn't for that stupid generator, we get another 20 years out of him.
See, yeah.
I'm telling you, I go to bed at night like,
and he's still thinking about that damn generator.
Or like another one is like the swap meets are very, very early shows. Like I'm not kidding, I'm up at 4 a.m. because I have to be there by 5, and I actually unlock all the gates. But I have to unlock the gates when the employees show up. So gate 1 and 2, Bubba and them are there, and Bubba's always early, which I cannot thank him enough, so that I can open up gate number 9. Then that leaves Leffingwell Road. There are 3 gates down there. So I run down there, open those 3, but then on the Fairground Boulevard, we run the track. So you go in through the track. Well, I have to have somebody out at the track. So my dream is I don't wake up in time. And I have the keys. You know what I mean?
We're waiting on you, and they're mad.
Well, no,
and you're sleeping.
No, and then what happens is the fairgrounds just say, well, the hell with them, and they open the gates. You know what I mean? But like I'm like get up, and I'm late. It's the weirdest dream, but it's, because it's so much like pressure to make sure that, but everything has to be synchronized. And again, it's not just me, it's everybody else that makes it. If Bubba's not there in time, or Frankie's not there in time, or somebody, or some little thing happens, throws everything off. And that's where when you work with a great bunch of guys, they deserve all the credit type thing. I'm just,
you just put it together.
The guy with the top hat, I guess. That
they do all the grunt work.
Not grunt work. See, that's where
Frankie's they're out there.
No, but they are. They're grinding it out.
They are.
Like, but I would never ask somebody to do something I wouldn't do myself. I love doing parts pickup, sitting on a golf cart, loading up some tires. I think it's great.
I've been to his events. I've been at the gates. I've helped take the money in and all that. And
well organized, I bet.
If you see Bubba and you see Frankie, and they're moving and hustling, and they're on the walkie-talkies, and it's nonstop. You really gotta
it's no joke. So to lighten the mood, have you ever seen Big Lebowski?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay.
I got to be the only person that didn't.
So Jesus, who's the ball guy, he goes, "What's this day of rest?" Whatever. So I got the good idea. I put it on YouTube. We all have walkie-talkies. So I played it on the walkie-talkie. Frankie actually thought there was a fight at a gate. He goes, what gate is this? What's this day? What is this bull? It was great. And then, and it was funny because now, the other guys try and duplicate me, but that was just the best because no one knew it was coming. And Frankie thought it was so real. Like someone was yelling.
Oh my God.
Because literally you're out again in the middle of nowhere. You have these ticket booths in the middle. By the time, you walkie-talkie somebody, you're going to get whatever is going to happen has already happened. This is just, so nothing more happens. And so it was just like, it was good though. It was funny. So I try and as many jokes as possible, or like if I know my cousin Nikki's having a bad day, I will crank it up as much as I possibly can. Just, and then he's at his boiling point, then I'll stop. And then it'll, calm down, or, Or he's like, man, I've been working really hard today, but I already have 5 pictures of him shopping at the swap meet, like buying stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
really? Really?
Look what you got.
Like, yeah. Like, then you see these parts in the back of his truck or whatnot. I'm like, okay, that's where they were. But it's never a dull moment.
I was going to say, you got to have some great stories of stuff that you have seen out. Like, not even your employees, not even the bands, but the people. When people come out, what's some of the weird things that they've done or you've seen, or
the Jackal night. We did Jackal one night, and I want to say 2013. We did Jackal and then Skid Row the next night, and I get a call on a walkie-talkie, and again, you're in the middle of a field, and the police chief at the time in Salem, and you hear, there's about 100 pagans at the gate. Trying to, what do we do? And I'm like, wow,
motorcycle.
Okay.
Which we had done a biker, band on Friday. Well, they're lined up straight down to the end of and I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
this is different.
Gonna be something.
Yeah.
And when they had, walked in, and it's like everybody paid and I'm like, wow, this is, but it was great. I mean, like I said, that was probably the first time we went really outside and it went big and really, because it was packed and we all didn't know what we were doing. It may have looked like it, but I have to tell you what, that was probably my roughest night that I'm glad nothing bad happened, because it very easily could have. It was so packed, and, you don't have the sophisticated stuff that you have nowadays to control things. We literally put up a stage in the middle of nowhere, and everybody just came to that area.
I know, Joe Ken, you think he's kidding, but you're literally in a cornfield.
Yeah,
it was, you cut a path in a cornfield, and it's
and then we blew off fireworks. I mean, and I got the idea originally from Michael Ballard's Full Throttle Saloon.
Okay.
That's how I was laying on the couch one day, just laying there, and I'm like, what is this? And we had, done a car show for years, and it was kind of ran its course. I'm like, wow, I could do bands out there. That's how I got the idea. So then we, like I said, Jackal was, they were on True TV. Their show on True TV was the #1 show in our market.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was crazy, the people that are watching this Full Throttle Saloon, and there are bands that we have done. Theory of a Dead Band's on there, Skid Row, and everything. And I'm like, wow, I can incorporate bands on the largest scale possible, and and that's what we had done. We had Vince Neil in 2015. No, I'm sorry, 2014. We had Vince Neil, and then Brett, played the next night, and everybody was very nervous about Vince. I don't know why. And I heard horror stories about him playing a show around here years and years, long time ago. And he left early or whatever. And but a funny story about Vince was he left his Motley Crue jacket. And if I was a janky guy, I could have kept that. But I didn't.
And you gave it back to him?
No, I overnighted it, is what I did.
Wow.
Yes. He left his Motley, and this is right before he's getting ready to go on tour. You know what I mean? This is 2014. Yeah. They were doing whatever, the farewell or whatever. And this guy left his Motley Crue jacket.
Was he that loaded?
Yeah. I was nervous with him because I had sponsors and people that wanted to meet him, and
you're afraid he was going to pass out.
Well, not only that, or just, I didn't know what to expect, but he has a guy, by the name of Dana Strum from Slaughter. That's kind of his tour manager. And Dana's a great guy. And Dana makes sure, that he's on point. So whether he was drunk or whatnot, or whatever the case may be with him, he still did what was asked, which I, was grateful for, I think. But yeah, I mean, so that was a great show,
Man, what a keepsake that would have been.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I could have been like, I
haven't seen it.
I don't know where
it went.
You know what I mean? Yeah. On something like that. You know what I mean? I could have definitely been, type thing. You
could have never worn it anywhere.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, man, I don't know what I've done with it. But
dude, he would have never remembered where he left it. He would have never known.
That's what I mean. I could have wore it tonight. I could, instead of this, I could have.
And he could be watching.
Let me tell you a story, because it's been how many years?
Right.
Statute of limitations.
Right.
Right.
It's over. Not like I said, Brett Michaels guys pulling the plug on the Hucklephilies or anything, you know. And
Did they make up? Are they friends now?
what had happened was
What happened was
Jimmy's passionate,
he is.
and
You gotta love him.
He went right after those guys. I mean, literally,
Mhm.
like it didn't stop for 2 seconds, and
Mhm.
he's, you know, and then him and Brett had talked it out and worked it out, and everything was fine. But those were Brett's, you know, tour manager or whoever that just, you know what I mean? Like, let the guy finish the song. You know what I mean?
What'd they do? Just pull the plug on him?
Yeah, pull the plug. Like that.
Wow. I'd be pissed too,
Oh,
honestly.
could you imagine?
So I'm thinking generator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm walking
Generator.
there. I'm walking and I hear poof, and I'm like,
Oh.
and I look over and I'm like, Todd, the lights are still on. And I'm like, all right. And then something else was good. So I was like, okay, you know. And then I get the story afterwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you know, Jimmy had said some explicitives to Brett. You know,
I
and,
could never imagine Jimmy.
yeah,
doing
and I'm
that.
sitting there, and then so after the show, I go to Brett. I go, let's do it again. And he goes, what date? And we had told him, I think it was June 25th. And he goes, make sure your boys are back with me. And I'm like, wow, okay. Then,
yeah.
you know. So I think I waited a little while. Then I called Jimmy and I said, hey, we're going to do it again. You want to do it again? He goes, well, how does Brett feel? I'm like, well, actually, he said, you know, he kind of
Make sure you're there.
back, you know. I go, I don't know why, but he asked you to come back. So, you know.
Aw.
And then actually did a song together at the end. They all
That would
came
be
back
cool.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure it's on YouTube still somewhere.
Oh, I'm
you know,
sure it is.
or on Jimmy's Facebook page. You know,
Probably.
If you
do it,
flick
you
the
know.
lights, his eyes will start twitching.
I'm telling you, I you know.
Generator. It's that generator thing.
But see, at the mall, they got plug-in power.
Go figure.
You know, and it's fenced in, so nobody's gonna touch it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I fence it all in. It's done. You know?
No worries.
Yeah.
He's not worrying about this.
You know what
He's
I
not
mean?
losing
So,
sleep.
you know, I just, like I said, that was one of the funnier. I'm trying to think what other good ones I have for you. So you got to get me where we're while we're talking. It was just, you know, come to me type
You
thing.
gotta drink a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
drink
it
a
comes
little.
Easier.
Yeah, I probably should.
Yeah, why not? Toast. Here's to
Yeah.
2023 summer.
Thank you, Joe, my man.
Oh man.
Good times.
I can't wait to see some of these shows that you've got coming to the area. And I want to know who we'll get it out of him eventually, who he's thinking of bringing in, maybe.
Yeah, there's I got it in my mind already. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good.
It's good.
Like it normally, yeah. Like it's the plan. Yeah.
See, I think and what I was leaning to earlier with my question on this, I think it's everybody knows rock and roll.
Sure.
Whereas you wouldn't take maybe somebody who is into motorcycles and into rock music. You know, rock and motorcycles go together. That's like a marriage.
Absolutely.
But you wouldn't hear a lot of motorcycles that would listen to maybe Boyz II Men or something current day and I'm trying to think who would come to this
Well,
area.
Those country concerts do really well.
Yes, they do.
I hate country. I can't.
Dude. You have no idea the funny stuff that goes on.
You know,
I know this. I'm a bartender.
Yeah, no, I never got into it. I don't know, and I'm sure it's bad, you know, on my end, but I just, you know, and the other thing is the pricing, and that's I think one of the things that turned me off in the beginning. It's so expensive. I
Mhm.
mean, for nothing.
The country's hot right now. It's hot right now.
That's, you know,
I've heard that the drunkenness and the disorderlies are off the charts. Though.
No,
Little bit.
no,
Pico.
no, not at all.
yeah, that's country. I'm good. I just
No, interest in it whatsoever.
zero.
Wow.
Yeah.
You look good in a cowboy hat, though.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and probably Brad Michaels was as country as I would ever get, and that's not even.
And he's not
country.
even country.
Yeah, so that's, you know.
Now, there's got to be a good story about Brett Michaels because you've brought him to town a couple of times. You guys have made, amends with bands.
Well, see, for me, yeah, I mean, it's always, you know, good cop, bad cop. I'm always the good cop. You know what I mean? Like if something
Mhm.
goes wrong,
Right.
Bubba will go down there, and if Bubba totally turns it crap,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, hey, we work it
Mhm.
out. I don't know if I want to say this one or not, but
Go ahead.
okay.
It's uncensored.
I'll just say that I was taken aback by the fact that I left the drag strip on Friday, and Saturday Warrant was playing, and I roll into the drag strip Saturday morning, and Brett Michaels' RV was still there. And I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
You can draw your own conclusions.
We don't want them. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm just saying. My man was still there.
Wow. You had a good time.
I think he did.
Yeah.
I don't know with who.
Or what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Hmm.
Trying to think what other.
Is there any artist that came to town that you would have said, wow, I pegged that all wrong, didn't see that coming?
You mean as far as selling? Or
Personality,
stories, behaviors, caught in the act of.
It's dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I mean, I've heard like some guys after a show say, "Man, this guy was just a freak." You know, he had like what you heard is true. You know, they had stuff in the backstage area where you couldn't use the restroom. You had to use the restroom in a kitty litter. That's legit.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, there's a lot of good
Kitty litter.
Yes, you had to use kitty litter. You had to.
That is messed up.
No, but it's true. Yeah.
Now, see, I had heard stories, and I don't know how true this is, but if Mariah Carey was in concert, that she wanted to make sure that her toilets were cleaned, so that she wanted to make sure they were wrapped in saran wrap.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't follow that, but that
gotcha.
is one of the things
That's
that
reasonable.
she wanted to make sure that they were cleaned, and whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's back in the radio biz.
It's I don't really you take people for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like some are just, you can tell, like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like you just don't want anything to do with them. You know what I mean? And then there are some that are just really nice, whatever type thing. Like I know the Papa Roach guys real well, Buck Cherry, Candlebox, I know Kevin very well. It's just guys that are quality people. You know what I mean? You take the time to, but then there are some you're just like, hi man. I remember I still have a picture, and this is hilarious. This is how far back we go. Fast Freddy's interviewing the lead singer of Shinedown. There's a Wedgwood pizza on the couch right next to him, and there's me. Because and it was great. I look at that picture, I'm like, this is
you were
so
hungry.
Funny. Well, we were all eating the Wedgwood pizza. I was just happened to get snapped with the photo. You know what I mean? Another funny one was, and this got me, was I had paid PM Dawn to come down to the Wedge and play. So what happened was they got snowed in. The Wedge at that time in 2007 was a pretty big nightclub. They actually, unbeknownst to me, stayed the extra night, and they played the Wedge the next night for free for hotel rooms.
What?
And I was like, I can't
How do
believe
you do
you guys.
that? Yeah.
Man. I was like, man, I can't believe that. You actually stayed.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got one on me on that one.
Now, I've heard of different artists, like when they would come into Cavelli, some would stick around and some would go downtown and some would party and some would do. So who was one of your bands that maybe stuck around and partied after your show was over?
Oh, boy. Papa Roach was good for that.
Yeah.
And actually, we went to the bowling alley afterward.
Okay.
Papa, I know we did that once or twice with him. I don't know if you're familiar with Social Distortion or not. Mike Ness. And this was by chance. My brothers were big fans. And the agent at the time for Breaking Benjamin also had Social D. So I'm like, okay, I'll bring him in. I'll try and, So we had brought them in, and I said, hey, is there any way that my brothers can spend some time with Mike? Big fans. So they actually spent the day antiquing.
Get out.
So my brother picked him up, I know, 11 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they went to all these different antique places.
I'll never forget that.
No, yeah. And because Wes Styles was a really big Social D fan, and it worked out really well. So he was back by 6.
Mhm.
You know, we had the big Rock 104 semi at the time out there, and yeah, it was good. He ate the Flaming Ice Cube in Campfield,
Oh, wow.
vegan.
Huh.
Yeah. Um, a lot of bands, you know, sound check and all that other stuff. I remember Sponge played the Rib Burn Off. There, he drove from Michigan, came right on stage, played. No sound check.
No sound check, no
nothing.
nothing.
I'm like, Frankie. He goes, I just came, boom, showed up at
Wow.
7:40, hit the stage at 8. No sound check, no nothing. We're ready to go. Josh Todd from Bug Cherry, another great guy. He went out, had a nice time with him.
Mhm.
You know, a couple, you know, just, you know. But then there's ones that you don't like, you know, Snoop Dogg during the day, everybody saw him at Waffle House. Everybody saw him. You keep getting calls, you know, and it's
Hey,
like,
your boy's here. Hey, your
or,
boy's.
you know, or somebody from the police department is like, can you please let us know where he's going to be? Because now we're getting calls. And it was a pretty big thing at the time. I mean, it was, you know,
That's cool.
you know, but like I said, the thing with me is if I was the first date, I'd have gotten nervous. You know what I mean? But I was the
Mhm.
second date, and I knew he was in Toledo, so you know.
So you knew he was
I
close.
knew he was
a
around.
couple hours away.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So he'll make the drive, and then you know get checked into the Hampton in Campfield, which probably shouldn't have done that. You know, whole other story. But
Oh, come on, good story.
well, it's just you know I don't think you know that's a different you know type atmosphere for you know Snoop to be at type thing. But the thing was he was in town, so it was nice. You know, it was good. So if I was the first show, I'd have been nervous.
So other than getting kicked out for hibachi cooking, has there been any artist that has destroyed their hotel room that you've heard about?
I know we had to pay for a couple of things for Snoop. I do know that.
Smell mediation.
Yeah, no,
right?
there were a couple because I know that they had a private party at the hotel afterwards. I don't remember the specifics of it because the club ended up paying for that. But I know that there was a few. Crossfade was a great band. Actually, when Buck Cherry played, Crossfade was upstairs with us watching the show, and I wish Crossfade would play again. It's actually the lead singer's birthday today. We're friends on Facebook, but you know, they're done. They just won't. They don't want to do anything.
They don't want to do anything.
They're done. Yeah, you know, for whatever reason, you know. Yeah, so it's just you know, it's a lot of guessing. Like you know, you hope that this band works. You hope the crowd that you're promoting
Embraces
to believes
it,
in
yeah.
it, and you know, it's like okay, this is great. You know, I thought you know, Fuel. We haven't done Fuel since 2008. I thought Fuel would be a great. You know, Gin Blossom just got off this massive tour with Bare Naked Ladies, Toad the Wet Sprocket, and everything. I'm like, man, it would be really nice to bring them to Boardman. You know, that's Boardman right there. That's you know the type of music that you want, and the stars just align for that. You know, 99% of the time, we start so early booking the bands that we usually get them, and they'll build the tour around. You know, hey, we're playing Youngstown on the 30th, so let's whatever type thing. But it's got a lot aggressive too. The casinos have really upset the universe a lot. They just throw money at things, and it's just, you know.
But a lot of casinos aren't putting bands in for whatever reason. They're not bringing back the entertainment just as of yet.
In this market, but when you go to Pittsburgh, or
They're in there.
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's definitely yeah. I know of two bands off the top of my head that you know this area was bidding on, and they just swooped them up in Pittsburgh, and they're like,
Wow.
they gave them double.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Double.
like
Oof.
a lot. I'm like, wow, okay.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, because I had heard, rumor had it that they weren't doing the live entertainment. COVID shut a lot of things down, and still people are not.
Sure.
They're scared. They
It's,
don't want to.
The in my opinion, you know, the concert business that, you know, and like I said, I dabble in all different things, and not just concerts. I'm so by no means, you know, a Live Nation by any means. You know, I'm down to 3 or 4 concerts a year just because I have other things that, you know, I do
to bring to the area.
I do festivals, and, you know, you can only do X amount of festivals type thing. But in a lot of ways, like a lot of the agents left the business. You know, it's, you know, you go without pay for up to 2 years or whatever it is.
Right.
You know, a lot of the people that we knew are gone. They left. A lot of the bands aren't touring anymore. They're just done. just a lot of different things, a lot of different, plus the bands are more expensive now. A band I had looked at last year is 25% more this year than they were last year for no reason. No reason.
And then, of course, you've got to take that out with the crowd and the ticket sales and
Yeah,
everything
then,
else to try to make up for that.
Type thing. And it's like, man, it's just, wow, lame for no reason.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, wow. But yeah, so I mean, in a lot of ways, I think a lot of the models are changing. I think a lot of things are different. But I also think a lot of the revenue streams that the bands once got, like in the Wedge days, I would get stuff from record labels. You would get stuff from record labels. I mean, when we did the Jägermeister tour with Hinder, 2008, I think with you guys, I have so much Hinder stuff. And this is back when that Lips of an Angel is as good as it's going to get and as big as it's going to get. T-shirts, posters, CDs. I mean, we had all of that stuff from all of those record labels. Anytime a band came to town, I mean, I couldn't give this stuff away and as quick enough. And that's gone. I don't know what the royalties are now on, there's no CD sales anymore.
No.
Everything's
downloaded.
Yeah. So you're making money now on touring and your merch.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's it.
Well, I mean, there's only so much, So as a promoter now, it's like you have to, be smart about it. If you're not, it could go upside down pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
Very quick. So it's like you're relying on, the pop sales, the food sales, the beer sales, this. I mean, you have to equate all of that into it now. Well, what if it rains? Okay, we have rain insurance. Well, rain insurance is 20% of what the show would cost. I mean, it's no joke.
There's prices behind it people don't realize.
Yeah.
Like you said, your insurances, trying to get the vendors in, trying to get the ticket sales, trying to sell out.
Yes. Well, I mean, as a promoter, my thought process, okay, what do I need to break even? Where are we at with that?
Right.
You need X. Okay. And it's funny because people think, you see a huge crowd and it's like, man, this guy's making $1 million. Well, it's,
when you take into consideration, then you've got your help that you have to pay, your security that you have to pay.
Generators.
The generators. My God, if they get water in them.
Joe's like, I know something about Corey now that I never,
You are never going to live that down when you two see each
know.
other.
But my one thing is I love the festivals. I love the rib burn off feel. I mean, anytime I do a concert or whatnot, I try and make it that big party atmosphere type thing. The rib benders are the best you can get. I mean, the beer prices are very reasonable. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, I really have my, nose to the grind. Like, okay, I mean, would I go to this if I wasn't involved with this, but I heard about it, 9 times out of 10, I would type thing. And so I try and put myself in, someone else's shoes for once, as opposed to the other way around where, I'm not in a bubble.
Right.
I know exactly what's going on. I mean, it's not easy. Not easy for me. It's not easy for Joe. Not easy for you. I mean, I get it. So I try and make it as easy as possible, type thing.
So do people come up to you in the restaurant and say, hey, Corey, you need to bring this band back, or you need to do that, or don't they put 2 and 2 together?
Put 2 and 2 together.
That's awesome.
He's like a
For the
ninja.
But
longest
they
time.
will now.
Well, I'm sure. Thanks, Justine, for that. But yeah, no, they no, it's actually, I think, they view it as a part of. He's a part of it somehow, not like the actual owner.
Okay.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Chili sells margaritas at the Rib Burn Off,
Oh.
or he's associated with somehow. I don't know how. I'm quiet. I don't really,
Say anything.
put it out there until now. Type thing. But yeah, so it's just, nice and quiet type thing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. So we'll do a rundown.
Uh-oh.
You have talked, and you were so worried about not knowing what to say.
Well,
And it's like,
I don't really.
you're so interesting.
I kind of tend to stay away from you. I just like
Yeah.
my own little quiet things.
You did amazing. We're so proud of you.
Thank you. Look at her.
She's a great host.
We're so
She
proud of
draws it
It's
out
like
of you.
Spoon feeding you through the whole thing here,
But you've
Yeah.
got dates coming up in April.
April 15th, we have a toy show at the Campfield Fairgrounds Event Center. And again, it's toys from the new toys, vintage toys, comics, video games, die-cast cars, 250 vendors all across the state. If you're looking for something, toy related, you will find it there. I mean, a bunch of great vendors there. Then we roll into April 28th.
May, June.
29th and 30th.
Okay.
The big Dave and Ed Super Swap Meet at the Campfield Fairgrounds. 3 days for, automotive bliss.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a new part, used part, tool, shop equipment, whatever, you'll find it there. It's all 3 days there. After that, we're into the rib burn off June 22nd through the 24th at the Southern Park Mall with the Clarks, Fuel, and Gin Blossoms.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a great,
Yes. It's gonna be a
great weekend.
Great weekend. Then right after that, we're back for the Youngstown Comic Con, July 8th and 9th. Then I get a little break, and then we have the swap meets September, October, November, and December, along with a toy show and a couple other things. So,
and then you're starting to put that, like we said, putting 2024 into the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to. It's it's.
So before we let you go, because we've really been, I'm just so proud he was able to.
I enjoyed this. This is great.
Nailed it.
Right out of the ball field. What does Corey do on his downtime? He doesn't put the phone on. He doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, no, let's see here. I really enjoy going to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I love Universal Studios. It's like my, if my downtime is around my vacation time.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't plan something for that month. My wife and I will go to Florida. We just got back from Clearwater. So I take 2 vacations a year.
Nice.
Once in the spring and once in the fall.
You sound like him.
Yeah. Springtime.
Clearwater's the best.
Uh-huh.
It really is.
Springtime's Clearwater, and then the fall's Universal. So that's kind of my downtime. I really don't, unfortunately, have any hobbies. I used to be a big wrestling fan, big one.
I'd have never guessed.
Not anymore.
No.
Not anymore, though. I haven't seen it yet.
And it's all real.
It's
Stop ruining it.
I like in my downtime. I would like to say though, I like watching YouTube. Like if it were me, I wouldn't have cable.
Mm-hmm.
But I like watching podcasts. Like wrestling podcasts from the golden era, like the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I mean, YouTube's. I'm surprised, that they don't have you have to pay model. Period.
Mm-hmm.
There's no free whatever. I'll just sit there or funny joke videos, stuff like
Right.
that. Love
Get
that stuff.
sucked into those.
I do, and it's just you go and it's just
15 seconds.
on to
of
the next
pleasure.
one.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah. So that's kind of
So you don't have hobbies.
I really don't. There's not really boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, I don't know why you want me on here. I mean,
I don't nothing to talk about. Like
nothing.
An hour and a half of
An
nothing.
hour and a half of nothing that
See? Then when we hang up the mic, then I'll really be like, Justine, you should
you should have asked me this.
You should have said that. I'd have told you about this. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So if people want to get in on advertising, say they want to put their banners on fences or whatever,
Sure.
they need to contact you and you'll work out a price.
Yeah, absolutely. We have autoevents.com, ribsandrock.com. All the phone numbers to the office and everything are on there. So
And ticket sales are available right now.
right now.
Okay.
Yes.
See, I'm working for you.
Yeah, I appreciate
See,
that.
I know, right?
See?
Promote
Yeah,
it.
I appreciate that. It's good.
So good. So we're gonna wrap this up.
I
I'm
really
s-
enjoyed my time with you guys. This is a great facility. I haven't
It's
been
beautiful
down
down here.
Yeah.
It's like the best of everything. I mean, you've
Right?
got podcast and video, and if I wanted to throw on headphones to be in
I
radio,
know. Look,
it's
see?
all here. It's all here.
Yeah, this is top notch. I like
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
Great.
We
Yeah,
keep
that's-
talking about doing things out here in the parking lot.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Look at his little wheelhouse going.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
don't let Joe fool you.
Oh, I know.
Trust me, don't let Joe fool you.
He's a mighty
My
man.
man's aggressive.
He is aggressive. He
Yes.
is aggressive.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember
So,
many times I'm like, you want to do what? All right, sounds good.
and I didn't even realize the two of you really kind of knew each other, and why
Mhm.
I didn't think you. Who knew?
The major schemers in town have to know
Right.
each other.
Schemers, the plotters.
Yes, the plotters.
Absolutely.
Putting you two together would
Crazy.
yes, crazy would ensue.
I remember
Yes.
I saw his name at the Campfield Fair, like for whatever. I went to someone at the office. I go, why are you having him out here? She's like, I'm like, I'm just kidding. She was like, what? I'm like, I'm just kidding.
They were already suspicious of me, so it didn't help.
So then I winked, and they're like, oh, sorry. Everything's so serious.
Yeah. Way too much seriousness. If you ever
Right?
knew him, though,
Oh, so good.
he doesn't know how to take people sometimes, I think. Yeah, you don't.
No.
No. He just sits there and
I
he'll.
just do my thing.
Right?
He's afraid to tread.
See, that's,
But that's okay.
yeah.
It all makes us work in the wheelhouse.
Yes.
So Corey, it was amazing having you on.
I-
I thought we would have heard from Bubba and Frankie for sure, though. I'm surprised.
I like I said, I told with the bad news of who the fuel tour manager is. I think
You're
he's-
tormenting that
I
kid.
think
On his
that's
shit list,
and it
for
was
sure.
literally
Yes.
5 minutes before I walked in here. Boop, took a pic, sent it to him. He goes, and he's just 2 words.
Uh-huh.
Beep, beep,
Yeah,
beep, beep.
yep.
Yeah.
Like, so that was it. Bubba's probably next door. You know what I mean? In the authority figure.
Authority figure.
Suit and tie Bubba now, buddy. Yep. Enjoy.
But that's good.
Yeah.
It's been long overdue for him. So we're happy to hear
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
that. Yeah, you guys are all awesome. So
It's a close knit.
It is.
Everybody knows everybody, isn't it? I mean,
it's
something,
Youngstown.
that's true.
It's
That is true.
Youngstown. Everybody knows everybody.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and if everybody doesn't know everybody, they soon will.
Yes,
you
it
know.
will,
So,
yeah.
but
Cool.
yeah, thank you so much,
No,
Corey.
thank you. This was great. I really enjoyed this.
I'm
This was
glad
fun.
you did. We
this
got to
was
get you
good.
back on here,
Love
and
to.
then you can talk about what happens after the post concert.
Or what I could do is just have a head cam.
There you,
You
go.
know what I mean? And just
GoPro,
videotape. You know what I mean?
Bro, yeah.
Like if Joe followed me around, I kid you not, like
Let's
literally.
do it.
I
and I'd be-
could see you
then I would
doing
be like, Joe,
this.
just for a second.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Cut the
yeah.
audio. Cut
Like
it, cut it.
oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like yeah. Yeah.
His face is turning red. You must have thought of something good.
Well,
Can't blame the bourbon because you haven't had
real
any.
quick for the rib burn off last year, the mall just built this brand new thing. Well, it's AstroTurf.
Mm-hmm.
So it was touch and go
Mm-hmm.
on what was going on that turf and what wasn't. The mall said, we don't want anything on that turf. And I'm like, that's impossible. There's no way. So I had 2 diagrams. Monday morning, everything shows up. So it's like they're on this end and I'm on that. I'm like, what are we doing? And a landscaper of all people parted the red seas and said, it's okay. We can bring it back. Or if they're, as long as they don't stake into it, we're good. I'm like, a landscaper. I've been telling you that for months. You know what I mean? And it's just the little things like that to where everything, would have been in the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it was all moved, like the big tents and all that. And it,
Wow.
about that.
See, it all comes together.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before we
Yeah.
wrap up, why don't you tell people what your next show is that you're going to have scheduled here at the end of the month?
Well, it's not going to be next week.
No.
No, it's going to be the week after, I believe. He's
Okay.
got to confirm.
Okay. Can you announce?
Well,
Uh-oh.
All
I'm
right,
just
we'll
gonna
wait.
I'm just gonna tell you that he's a CEO of a record company.
Oh.
How about that?
Oh, so I
Okay.
got bummed because I was supposed to be on the 30th. And I get a call yesterday. Hey, can you come down? I'm like,
Well,
all
he's
right.
he's actually there's Brian Bubba Lytle.
see, there's the story. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Now I'm a warm up.
See?
Yeah.
It all
No,
comes
we
around.
wanted to get you
You
on
know?
as soon as possible, but he kind of I guess he was signing a recording artist tonight, so he couldn't make the Zoom call. But you're live and in person.
I see that. I know. It's great.
And Bubba's all hi
Look at
Bubba.
Bubba. Look,
Yeah.
Hi, Bubba.
Hi Bubba. Robbie Kale.
All right,
Bubba's
but
the best.
next
Robbie Kale,
time.
great. Robbie Kale, No Funk, No Justice, opening up for Fuel.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's on there.
Everybody, they
Yep.
love you. Look at that.
Look at that, Justine. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Man,
You're
that.
so
Look at that. That's really
sweet.
big
I-
over there too.
I
You
concur.
zero. Yeah. See.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
It's been a minute.
Yep.
It's been
Yeah.
a New York minute actually. So.
See, that's why you stick with tribute bands. Steve James. I see it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this was good. And again, I can't thank you enough for coming back on
No, it's
or
great.
coming
Actually-
on. Actually,
Actually, it was great because I was with Frankie all day. We had to run around and I ran people down all day. So it was great. You know what I
Good.
mean? So I got it out of my system
That's
like before I
good.
got here. So it worked out pretty good,
so see, he's not listening, so we're good.
It's fun.
Aw. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is great. Thank you for having me and thank you for letting me talk
I'm
about
so
the
glad
show.
you had
Yeah.
stories to tell, and
Good,
it was
yeah.
awesome. It was
Yeah.
truly an hour and a half worth of knowledge that we would have
Worth of
gotten nowhere
nonsense.
else.
Thing of beauty.
A thing
Wasn't
of
it?
beauty.
There it is.
So not next week, but the
Well,
week
that week.
after. Yeah. So
See you then.
all right. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content.